welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Clarissa and I have two little boys. I have a 2-year-old son and a 10-week-old baby boy, and I wanted to talk to you guys about breastfeeding in public. So I actually didn't even come up with this topic on my own, but I got a DM from one of you guys, Carrie Ann. She says, "You seem like such a confident breastfeeder. I feel like you should do a video on how this came to be. I need inspiration and motivation." So I decided to make a quick little video about this. Maybe some of you guys struggle with this, or you're pregnant and you're gonna have your first baby and you plan on breastfeeding, but you're super nervous about what you're gonna do when you're out in public and your baby needs to eat. So first off, breastfeeding your baby in public can be a little bit daunting, especially if you are a first-time mom. You might feel a little bit awkward at first, and that's totally normal, but you just need to remember that you're feeding your baby. Just like if someone is using a bottle to feed their baby, you should have the same right to feed your baby. In fact, in the United States, I'm not sure about other countries, you guys should comment below and let me know what your country's laws are, but I know that in the United States, it's completely legal to breastfeed publicly, and so breastfeeding moms are protected from public indecency. So if you were to breastfeed your baby and say your baby unlatched or something and your nipple exposed, you are protected legally. Like, you are not going to get fined for public indecency. So don't worry about stuff like that. If anyone ever has an issue with it, especially like if you are in an establishment and someone of authority has an issue with you breastfeeding in public, know your rights and know that you are allowed to breastfeed publicly. You are allowed to feed your baby in any place, no matter what. Okay, so let's get into how to breastfeed in public. So the first thing is obviously a nursing cover. This is gonna be so helpful, especially if you are a new mommy and you're not exactly sure like how to do it. This is just gonna help you be covered while you're getting things ready to go. So this one is just from Amazon. There's so many just like this, probably from everywhere. I'm sure Amazon has a ton now. I feel like these are super popular. You just stick it over your head and I just kind of shimmy it down. Then I unlatch my nursing bra, expose my breast, pick up my baby and stick my baby in, and then I feed. And then I usually kind of pull this down like that, and so I can kind of watch, or I can just kind of like look down in there. You definitely don't want your baby to be completely covered because you want them to be able to breathe and be comfortable in there. But I think these things are great. I use these in a couple scenarios. Number one, if I'm wearing something that's really awkward where I'm gonna have to like pull out my entire boob, then I just put one of these on. And another time when I like to wear these is if I'm going my baby Crew, he's in his crib right next to me. So if you hear little coos, that's him. Another time I like to wear these is if we're gonna be walking. A really great tip is if you're gonna be like out walking, like say at the zoo, or you're like shopping or doing something where you're gonna be up and about, you can totally walk and nurse your baby with one of these, because it makes it really easy to just put this on, pick up your baby, and then walk around and nurse. And it's so nice because you don't have to sit there and do it on a bench and have everyone else like that you're with wait for you. So I love nursing covers. Say hello. I just wanted to be on YouTube. Yeah. Are you hungry? Okay, so maybe I'll just show you guys. So you're not always going to have a nursing cover handy, and if that's the case, I always dress appropriately. As a breastfeeding mom, you learn what works and what doesn't work as far as your garments go. And my favorite thing, especially since it's winter time, is to wear a nursing tank and a sweater. And half the time I skip the bra altogether. I just wear a nice nursing tank. Some of them are even padded, so that's a plus. Then you really don't need to worry about a bra. But even when they're not padded, if you're wearing like a loose sweatshirt or something over it, it's totally cool. So I wear usually a nursing tank and then a sweater over it. I always wear a tank top underneath because honestly, I'd feel more embarrassed showing my wrinkly postpartum stomach than I would showing a little bit of boob. So if you are wearing something like that, you can lift your sweater up from the bottom. Your stomach will not be exposed because you're wearing a nursing tank, and then you can put your baby on the breast and you can use the extra material to kind of cover their head. So I usually am wearing something like that anyways. Hi, honey. Or cardigans too. I'm usually wearing cardigans, and cardigans can kind of help as a shield as well. Okay, so I think he's hungry right now, so I'll just go ahead and show you guys like what I do. But I get him positioned first like this, and then I will lift up my sweater, or you know, kind of whatever you're wearing, but this is like kind of the perfect example because this is what I recommend to do. So I lift up my sweater, I unclip my bra, pull down the tank, and then I use my hand to kind of shield until he's latched. Okay, so I'm not sure he's gonna eat for very long because I don't think he's actually that hungry. I think he's just, yeah, he's just a little bit fussy. But hopefully you can kind of get the idea that once the baby is latched on, there's really no exposure. Okay, I'm gonna pull you off. Yeah. And then I usually pull off, and after I've pulled off, then I like go like this and kind of just readjust everything, clip my bra back up, all that good stuff. Good job. But yeah, I pull everything off, pull him off, and then I readjust once I'm like totally covered again. So once your baby is latched, there's really like no exposure at all. I mean, you might just see like a little bit of skin, but people are not going to be staring, especially if they see that you're breastfeeding. They're not going to stare. So you should never feel uncomfortable. I feel like when you are breastfeeding, like the other day we were at a restaurant, we were in the middle of the restaurant, like at a round table. So I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to look and see that I'm breastfeeding, but no one's looking. You think that everyone's watching you. No one cares. No one's watching you. And I never make eye contact with anybody else. I feel like, first of all, that would be awkward if I'm sitting there breastfeeding and I just make eye contact with someone else. So I just continue eating, continue with my conversation of whoever I'm with, and just start feeding my baby. So I don't actually look around. You are so sweet. And then, like I said, I pull the baby off, and adjust everything, burp them, and all that. I would say the trickiest part is just getting them latched on and getting them off without like showing your whole nipple. But you shouldn't be ashamed. Like I said, there's laws that protect you. Obviously, it would be like a little bit embarrassing if you did accidentally show your whole nipple to like some random stranger, but just know that it's okay. It's okay. Just feel confident, and I think the more confident you are, the more comfortable other people around you are going to be. So if you're hiding, if you're like, oh, I have to run out to my car to go nurse, or if you like get this whole big cover thing and you make sure you're like nobody can see you, like that makes it more awkward. That makes people think like, oh, well, I shouldn't look because whatever she's doing, she's really trying to hide it. So if you make it super easy and you just lift up your shirt, stick your baby on, clip down, and go and continue with your conversation, and you don't even make any other like note that you're breastfeeding, they're not even gonna care. It's totally fine. And I would say, especially with friends and relatives, you know, when you have people visiting and all that, you might feel uncomfortable, but you have a newborn baby and you need to be feeding your baby, and the last thing you should worry about is people accidentally seeing your boob or something like that. So just keep going with it and you're gonna be fine. Another thing too is like, don't ever feel that you need to go to the bathroom to feed. Like, you would not eat your meal in a restroom, so you should never feed your baby in a restroom. And with the laws, you should be able to feed anywhere, and a lot of places now even provide you with rooms to nurse in. So amusement parks, airports, like big public places like that, they'll have a special room for you to sit in with a nice couch, a changing table, you know, maybe a TV, whatever you need, and you can nurse in there. And I think that that is so amazing that people are doing that now. Obviously restaurants don't usually have that kind of luxury. Another thing too is, as your baby gets older, your baby is probably going to get what I call distracted feedings. This happened around 6 months with my first, and he got very distracted. He would latch on, and about 3 minutes into it, he'd pull off, look around, see what other people are doing, and then get back on the boob. That can be extremely awkward. I don't care who you are, but that can be really awkward if your baby pulls off and like waves at a stranger while your nipple is just hanging out. Like, that's when it gets a little bit awkward, and that's when I recommend using the nursing cover. So once they start to kind of get the distracted feeding stage, nursing covers are going to be your best friend. But in the beginning, you can totally just set them right on there and continue about your business. You can also obviously nurse from the top down, but I feel like that exposes a lot of boob that way. So if you're trying to be more discreet in public, I think that lifting up and going on that way and then kind of using that as a cover is just perfect, and really no one even knows what you're doing. it looks like you're just holding your baby. Like, honestly, it is totally fine. So I don't know, I hope this kind of helped you guys. I will also say with pumping too, the same thing goes with pumping, not pumping in public, but as far as like being allowed to pump in a nice area, that is also a law. So I think like certain I haven't read the law recently, but like places like an airport or something, they should have a nursing room for you where you can pump, you have an outlet. Because I know when we were traveling one time, I had a flight attendant tell me to use a restroom because I asked her if she had a nursing room somewhere, and she goes, oh, you can just use the restroom. And I was like, like same thing, you wouldn't cook your meal in a restroom, so why would you cook your baby's food essentially in a restroom? So if you are going to be traveling or going back to work or anything, make sure that you know ahead of time that you have rights and you are allowed to have a specific spot, a designated spot to pump that is not a bathroom. I have pumped in a restroom before, but only if I know that I'm going to be dumping it out. But I don't, yeah, you would never pump your milk that you're gonna save in a bathroom because that's icky. So I hope this video kind of helped you, showed you that, you know, you can kind of do it discreetly. And if you do have other tips and tricks, please leave them down below. And definitely never feel ashamed or embarrassed of breastfeeding your baby in public. In fact, you should feel damn proud of yourself for breastfeeding your baby in public. So I hope this gave you some inspiration and motivation and tips and tricks on how to do this. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.